What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. We cover political news, keep you up to date, and keep you informed on everything the government is doing because they're always doing some underhanded stuff, and we gotta stay on top of this stuff. So, if you're interested in staying informed, smash that subscribe button for me and turn on your notifications. It helps. It helps a lot. And if you also could, do me a big favor right now before we get started. Look right below the video and smash that like button for me. I would be greatly appreciative. Thanks, y'all. But let's go ahead and get into this. Now, if you guys remember, I don't know if y'all remember, but when the Ukraine war started, yeah, I'm sorry, but we got some stuff that came out. When this Ukraine war started, Joe Biden announced we're going to impose the most sanctions on Russia possible, right? So you would figure they're going to impose the most possible sanctions. They're going to do everything they can do. As a matter of fact, they've seized all kind of Russian assets. They're talking about giving some seized Russian assets to Ukraine. How would you like them apples, huh? And you wonder why Russia doesn't like us at all. Of course, I don't like Russia either. I think Putin is evil. Now, the people of Russia, that's a totally different story. I'm sure the citizens in Russia kind of feel the same way I do. They may not be able to get on YouTube and vocally criticize Vladimir Putin like I do Joe Biden. One's a lot more evil than the other, but, how do you weigh that evil? But getting back to the point, so they impose the most sanctions, right, quote unquote. You would think they would keep that in place until something changes, right? Nothing has really changed. Vladimir Putin's still in Ukraine. We're still not going to give another $60 billion, I sure as hell hope, to fund a foreign war. But get this. U.S. to impose major sanctions on Russia over Navalny death. That's right. The U.S. will announce a major package of sanctions against Russia on Friday over the death of opposition leader Alexei Navalny and the 2-year Ukraine war, President Joe Biden said on Tuesday. Hang on a minute. I know I'm not the only one that remembers Joe Biden sanctioning the crap out of Russia, right? Like I said, supposedly the most sanctions you can put on a nation, he supposedly put on Russia. How the hell are you going to sanction them even further? Somebody is lying here. What, and second thing, you might be thinking, well, maybe they lifted those sanctions. Why would they lift those sanctions? Putin is still in Ukraine. That's the whole reason they did it. Doesn't make any sense. Somebody's lying here. But Biden, speaking to reporters as he departed on a trip to California, did not give details. The latest sanctions on Russia will target a range of items, including the country's defense and industrial bases, along with the sources of revenue for the economy, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said. Well, how come we don't already have these sanctions imposed? I really want to know who in the hell is lying here. Is Jake Sullivan lying? Is the news lying? Did they lie back then when they said they imposed all these so-called sanctions? I mean, we blew up the Nord Stream pipeline for Pete's sake. But it doesn't stop there. Yeah, we're talking about a lot of Russia and Ukraine today. So get this, though. Yep. Lindsey Graham is a terrorist, according to Russia. Just absolutely nuts. Hey, I don't really disagree with him. Lindsey Graham is an unhinged, warmongering Republican. This guy he's actually suggested that we go ahead and start a war with Iran with no evidence of them actually doing anything, talking about the October 7th attack. With no evidence of them being involved at all. But, I mean, we know they are, but, without any evidence, just says, let's go ahead and start a war with Iran for no apparent reason. Russia on Tuesday added Republican Senator Lindsey Graham to the list of extremists and terrorists. Rosfin Monitoring, Russia's state financial watchdog, included the South Carolina lawmaker in its updated database. Newsweek reached out to Rosfin Monitoring via email for comment. Graham has been one of the most outspoken GOP supporters of Ukraine since Russian President Vladimir Putin launched his attack on the country in February 2022. Graham even called on President Joe Biden to do more to help Ukraine after visiting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv last May. However, Graham drew criticism last week after voting against sending billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine, Israel, and U.S. allies in the Indo-Pacific. Speaking about the foreign aid deal on the Senate floor, Graham noted that former President Donald Trump didn't support the package. This guy is an outright tool. He is just willing to say whatever is popular at the time because this dude really did say, let's bomb the crap out of Iran for no apparent reason. Would love it if we had boots on the ground in Russia. Right? Would love to topple Putin. Of course, a lot of people would love to topple Putin, but that would spell all-out war with the world, essentially. I don't blame them for doing this. I think it's freaking hilarious. Had to throw some comic relief up in there, but this is just funny. I mean, who really cares, right? But Lindsey Graham is, I want the people of South Carolina, please, if anybody out there is listening to this video from South Carolina and you voted for Lindsey Graham, how the hell do you feel about that? How the hell do you feel? I want to ask you, why did you vote for Lindsey Graham of all people? Was there no better choice? Was it better than putting a Democrat in office? Hey, that's a perfectly legitimate answer if you ask me. It's better than having a Democrat, right? Of course. But come on, we need to get some better representatives in Congress, right? And I was talking about the Senate too, because that's, one side of the same coin. But, enough of all that. I've heard this argument for a while. We're going to cover a third story in this one. I'm just kind of trying to hit you with some quick news because it's all about Ukraine and Russia. Check this out. Biden wants you to know this, so I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody. Biden wants people to know most of the money he's seeking for Ukraine would be spent in the U.S. Yes, we already knew that. You love funding the military-industrial complex. At a bustling construction site outside of Dallas, there are hopes that Congress can finally pass nearly $95 billion in foreign aid, including funding for Ukraine, because factory jobs in the United States depend on that money. Hang on, just for a second. So, the only way you're going to help Americans is if it helps Ukrainians. Is that what you're saying, Joe? That you're helping Americans by funding a war in Ukraine. You're justifying the killing of civilians and Russian soldiers and basically the killing of Ukrainian soldiers as well, because you're continuing the war. You're continuing it. You're allowing the fighting to continue. Instead of attempting to stop this war, you're funding it and then trying to justify it with saying, oh, well, the money's going to be spent in the U.S. This just blows my mind, people. Aerospace and defense companies General Dynamics' new factory in the Dallas suburb of Mesquite is expected to initially employ 150 people to produce munitions. Set to open in June, construction is nearing completion, with newly planted trees and shrubs already in place at the complex overlooking one of the area's busiest interstates. We want to increase our wages and increase our skill levels and job opportunities, said Kate Buttram, Mesquite's director of economic development, who added that the factory is expected to have over 300 jobs when it's at full production. As President Joe Biden pushes House Republicans to pass needed aid, he wants voters to understand that nearly two-thirds, or nearly $40 billion, which I think it's $38.6 billion, of the money for Ukraine would actually go to U.S. factories spread out across the country, including plants in Lima, Ohio, and Scranton, Pennsylvania, as well as Mesquite. House Speaker Mike Johnson has refused to put the bill up for a vote on the House floor on the premise that it does not meet the needs of the American public. This is true, and I hope and pray that Mike Johnson does not put that bill up. This bill is atrocious, right? They're justifying funding a foreign war by saying, oh, well, it's going to help Americans because We're the ones that build the bullets. We put all the bullets together. And we're the ones that build the tanks that we're going to send over there. And all the Javelin missiles. And all the HIMARS. Yeah, we're the ones that make all of that. So it's helping Americans. Yeah, so now you're getting the blood on the hands of Americans. Joe, that's what you're doing. You're not helping the American economy. You know why I say that? Because you could give this money to that industry anyway. We spend almost $1 trillion, right? It's like 800 and something billion dollars on military spending every single year. You mean to tell me you can't add a few billion here and there for some, some more munitions so we can stockpile some more munitions? You mean you have to justify that by giving a butt ton of money to Ukraine so they can kill each other? So Ukraine and Russia can kill each other? Is that what you're doing? And this guy is supposed to be a Catholic. Just blows my mind, folks. But like I said, let me know down in the comments what you think about this. I mean, is this a justifiable reason to continue a war? I know I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't like war. I don't see any need for war. However, Putin wanted to invade Ukraine. He's got his reasons. I don't agree with those reasons. There is no good reason to invade another country. He's from that Tucker Carlson interview. He's talking about, we want to denazify this area because that is supposed to be Russia anyway. Well, guess what, Putin? It's not Russia anymore. It's Ukraine. Who cares about some lines drawn on a map? What is your actual want? What do you want from all this? You say you want to denazify Ukraine, but, normal people under normal circumstances, normal world leaders don't think, hang on, I got to get rid of this ideology in a different country. So I'm going to go in with my military to go do this. Yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever. And like I said, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Putin wants his damn land bridge. Russian expansionism, if you want to call it that. But you know what? For all these people that are big proponents of, he's going to roll into Poland next. No, I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. Poland is a NATO ally. Do you know what that means? All-out nuclear war would ensue, I'm sure. Because once the U.S. starts sending troops over there, Russia's going to get pushed back. And they're going to get pushed into a corner. And then they're going to have an existential crisis on their borders. As a matter of fact, in their country. Because I think if Russia invaded Poland, I don't think we're just going to kick them out of Poland and stop. Not with all the warmongers we have in Washington, D.C. Oh, no. No, they're going to keep on rolling. They're going to try to topple Moscow. And the nukes are going to fly. And then we're going to thank all of our dead politicians that, hey, you just ended modern civilization. Thank you very much. But like I said, let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day and be positive if you can. Peace.